Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Mattel Jurassic World Chaos Theory set to take a look at. This time we have the Yaz and Monolophosaurus Rescue Pack. These are, or at least this one is, part of the new round of kind of like story pack sets. There are 3 currently that are releasing through Big Bad Toy Store, and that is where I got mine. And you can see this set obviously features Yaz, a Monolophosaurus, a backpack, and a little compy, a very different brand new style of a compy compared to any older ones that we've had, which is really cool. And again, the artwork and everything looks pretty much as it usually does. Then once you turn it around, you can see some more information on the back, and also the fact that the compy is actually named Gordon, which is interesting. So that's pretty cool, and I feel like we're going to learn a lot more about this stuff in a future season of Chaos Theory. It seems like, releasing things like the Majungasaurus having a name, now this compy having a name, I guess that's stuff we'll learn about in the future. But you can see an image down here of the other 2 sets that are included in this wave. So let's pop these out of the box and check them out. So there we go, everything is now out and displayed here on the review station, and you can see it looks pretty cool. The compy's actually really cute, and I'm very intrigued to find out more about that one in a future episode of Chaos Theory. It seems as though he's got an injury on his leg. He's also got like a collar around himself to stop, I guess him from biting and stuff. And then the Monolophosaurus isn't really anything special. I actually would have really quite preferred they used the newer sculpt of the Monolophosaurus, which I think is really cool. But at the same time, if this is meant to represent a certain Monolophosaurus we may see in the show, then I guess they should have the sculpt look as if it does in the film or in the show. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see in the future, but I definitely would have preferred personally to have seen the newer sculpt of the Monolophosaurus used. But again, if this is what it looks like in the show, then I guess it should look like this. But regardless, the set looks pretty fun, so let's jump to a closer look and check it out from there. So we'll begin with the Monolophosaurus, and there isn't much new about this one. The sculpt is definitely the same sculpt as the older one. I think this would have been the second version that was released of the Monolophosaurus. I remember because we had these massive, ugly teeth on that version, and same thing here again. So the sculpt is a reused sculpt. It is just basically a repaint of a previously released Monolophosaurus, and as far as the colors go, we basically have like a greenish gray sort of tone for the primary body color. We do have a little alternate lighter tone for the lower jaw, but I mean, that's really the only area that you see it. You don't see it even run down into the throat or anything, and that's all you get as far as that tone of color. You have like this pinkish tone that kind of runs around the eye and then up into the crest. It does have a really satin shine, a really glossy look to it, so it definitely stands out, but I'm not a huge fan of gloss colors like that, like glossy areas of the skin on Dinosaur. Sometimes it works okay, but this time it doesn't really look that great. You can see the eyes painted with a yellow, given a black pupil as well. There is a speckling on this one, a very slight speckling, but I can see it. Other than that, as you move, actually, let's look at the inside of the mouth. You can see we've got a pinkish tone for the tongue, no coloration on the inside of the mouth on the upper side, and then yellow for the teeth. But then as you move back into the body, you see basically a dark brown patterning pickup at the bottom of the neck, and then it runs out here just before the tail and then disappears, and that's really it. Like, you have a gloss coat for the nails, but you don't have any actual paint work for the nails, and there's no other coloration on the Monolophosaurus at all outside of that. So not really even a great repaint, it's just an okay looking figure. As far as the backpack goes, you can see it's basically just like a light brown color. It is nicely sculpted. There's definitely some decent detail included with it, and it overall has some nice texturing as well, and it looks as though it opens up. I'm pretty sure, yes, so you just have to pull it open from there, and you can slide the compy in there if you want to, hide your little compy away, I guess, which is pretty cool. And then as far as the compy itself goes, there isn't really much in the way of any sort of fine detail to the compy. It definitely has the resemblance of a Jurassic Park style compy, but there's just not much when it comes to like skin texture and stuff, similar to the older green ones we used to get. You can see though that the foot is wrapped up, so obviously the compy has some sort of an injury. It's standing very upright, almost like vintage tripod style, which is quite interesting. And obviously you can see that it does have that collar around its neck, again, to stop it from biting. Nice little curve in the tail down here. Almost like an old school style of a compy, honestly, with the positioning. I actually quite, enjoy that. But overall, the compy's okay. He's just really, there's not a whole lot going on with him when it comes to detail. But it is fun to have a brand new sculpt for one of these small compies. And then we've got Yaz. And as far as Yaz goes, as per usual, I think Mattel did a pretty good job of capturing her likeness. You can see she's very nicely sculpted. You've got some nice detail here in the face. The eyes have some nice paintwork to them. The lips as well have some alternate tones of color applied. You can see the hair definitely is sculpted quite realistically and painted again with a black tone of color. Her ears are kind of sticking out there. As you move down, you can see she's got like a jacket on and a shirt with some striping, and that all looks quite nice. You can, of course, open the jacket a little bit to see the shirt just a bit better. As far as articulation goes, you can see we can move the arms forward and back, also out away from the body, and swivel. Same deal with the elbow. The elbow has pretty much all that same sort of articulation that everywhere else, usually has on these figures. It's all your standard, I would say, articulation from Mattel. Of course, you've got the swivel in the midsection, and then as you move down, you can see she's got the pants sculpted pretty nicely. You have some creasing and stuff applied. Not a whole lot in these pants, but they're pretty much skin tight, so I couldn't expect too much creasing when it comes to something like that. But you can see, again, the leg can go forward and back, as does the knee. And again, the knee can swivel, and the leg can come out away from the body. So if you have a Mattel human figure already, it's all the same standard stuff that you usually have when it comes to the articulation. As you move down, you can see her shoes are also pretty nicely sculpted. No real paintwork outside of a grayish tone for the shoes, like the laces aren't painted or anything, but it looks okay. And again, if you look here at the back of Yaz, she also looks nice back here. You can see more creasing and stuff in the jacket and everything. Oh, you also do have articulation in the neck, actually. I forgot to mention that. You can move the neck side to side and maybe up and down slightly. You can go kind of forward and back just a little bit, but definitely a decent looking human figure as per usual. Then, of course, you can put the backpack on Yaz. You can put the compy in the backpack. I will say that Yaz and her balance isn't so great. I'm definitely having trouble standing her. Even without the backpack on, she's not too stable, or at least mine isn't. And with the backpack on, it's actually significantly worse, of course, because she's going to be, falling backward. I'm trying to lean her forward just enough to kind of counteract the backpack. So it doesn't stay too well as far as like balancing goes. Also, as far as the compy goes, the collar is definitely, movable. It's loose and there's a little slit here to remove it, I would think. So you could probably pull that right off of the compy and then put it back on if you would be interested in doing that. And then as far as our Monolophosaurus goes and the articulation that one features, you can see you have an articulated jaw. You also have neck articulation down, up, can swivel, of course. Obviously no left and right, but you can turn the dinosaur to give it a nice head tilt and stuff like that. You have arm articulation forward and back. It does not come out away from the body. Same deal, I'm thinking, with the legs forward and back. And yeah, it doesn't really seem like it comes out away from the body. And then, of course, the swivel in the tail, just like usual. And then if you would like the scan code, if I can get it out, there we go. You can add this Monolophosaurus to your collection if you would like. But I don't think we need sizes or anything like that because, of course, these figures are all pretty much your standard. Of course, we've had the Monolophosaurus before. We've had tons of human being figures in the past, and clearly the Yaz here is right there in the same size range as all of the others. The compy is in a little bit of a smaller size range compared to the previous compies, just ever so slightly smaller than the older ones, but not really much of anything in this set that I think requires an actual measurement or comparison or anything like that. So this Yaz and Monolophosaurus rescue pack is a pretty fun set. Of course, the biggest downside to me for this set is in fact the Monolophosaurus because there's nothing special about it. I would have preferred either a new species of dinosaur or a new sculpted version of a dinosaur we've already had. Just something new as far as that goes. Instead, we got a repaint, and it's not even a repaint of a great figure. It's probably, in my opinion, the worst Monolophosaurus sculpt that we've had so far. And on top of that, the repaint itself isn't that great. It's pretty boring overall. There's just nothing really redeeming or memorable about the coloration that we have on this Monolophosaurus. It's just a standard repaint, and a very uninteresting one, I would say, at that. It's a decent sculpt as far as the fine detail and everything goes, but the teeth are just like the roughest part of this figure. It just looks so bad. But other than that, I mean, it's an okay figure. It's just not really anything super exciting. Yaz looks pretty nice, though, I will say, as far as like the Chaos Theory version of Yaz. They did a very good job on her sculpt, as well as very nice, very precise paint and fun articulation as per usual. And then we have the backpack, which is pretty cool. Definitely a nice addition to her, especially as far as display purposes or even dino toy photography goes. And the compy is honestly, I would say, one of the most exciting parts of this set, even though it's nothing special and it's just a very small kind of, you know, almost a little bit lackluster compy, just because there's not much in the way of fine detail, although none of the older ones really had that either, outside of like the Amber Collection versions. But the figure as a whole is kind of a mystery to me, because it's a compy that we haven't actually seen, and it obviously has like a story to it. It's got an injury, it has the collar around its neck, and obviously it's something from, I guess, Season 2, because we didn't see it in Season 1 that I remember. But overall, it's kind of a fun figure, because I do like that old school tripod pose it has currently going on. So the set is kind of a mixed bag overall. It's not really anything amazing, but it's a fun set for what it is. If you are interested in picking it up, I will include a link in the description to where you can grab it from Big Bad Toy Store. So make sure you check that link, go grab this set, and like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.